chronic illness, motherhood, career, everything else. How have you been able to balance everything that you've had on your plate?
What I've learned the hard way is empowering myself, my mental health, taking care of myself is so important. It's what allows me to continue to be efficient and balance all of these things.
Tell me about FIRE and why are you so passionate about that?
FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. I help teach others to do the same because I truly believe the world would be a much better place if more people could live life on their terms.
So I know a lot of dental assistants are listening to this and going, look, we're the lowest paid people on the team. Is FIRE still achievable?
Absolutely. The key is,
I've always had just one goal for Dental Assistant Nation, and that was to reach as many dental assistants around the world as I possibly could. So thank you for being a part of the community. And I want to make sure that you have hit the subscribe button so that you can not only help us spread the message and we can grow our reach, but also to make sure that you are getting the latest episodes delivered right to you the moment that we drop them. We are all about dental assistant education and empowerment here at Dental Assistant Nation, and we want to make sure that we are reaching as many dental assistants as possible. So thank you in advance, not only for being a part of this community, but for helping us spread the word.
Hey everybody, welcome back into another edition of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. My name is Kevin Henry, honored to be the founder of Dental Assistant Nation and honored that you've taken some time to join us today. I know it's going to be a fascinating topic and it's one that I know is going to resonate with so many of you out there. And that's why I'm thrilled to bring on Angela Tipton. Hey Angela, how are you?
hey, Kevin, doing great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad to have you. I'm so glad we first connected and I've just been anxious for today. And I know our audience is going to get a lot out of what you're going to share. But before we dive into all that, I'd love to just tell our audience a little bit about you.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. My name is Angela Tipton. I am the founder of a platform called Fire Your Career, which is really about empowering you in your finances and your career so you can really ultimately live life on your terms. I've had a long career journey. I've also balanced being a mom and having a chronic illness. So there's a lot going on in my life. Yet despite a lot of the challenges I've faced, I've been able to do a lot in my career and with my finances so I can do a lot to live on my terms. And I help teach others to do the same because I truly believe the world would be a much better place if more people could live life on their terms.
Amen. And I know a lot of dental assistants are saying amen to that as well. So let's dive into a topic. And I'm wondering, how have you balanced, as you said, a chronic illness, motherhood, career, everything else? How have you been able to balance everything that you've had on your plate?
Yeah, so it's a lot. And I know that a lot of the people in your audience also balance a lot, from being moms to being busy professionals to all of the things with running a household and everything else in between. It's a lot. So it's been a constant balancing and juggling act at times. But what I've learned, and I've learned the hard way, is that empowering myself, my mental health, taking care of myself is so important. It's what allows me to continue to be efficient and balance all of these things. So that includes, for me, making sure that I'm fitting in a run, time for yoga, time with friends, which, yes, can oftentimes be a bit of an afterthought, but I've learned that if I learn how to balance those things with everything else, with my career, with being a great mom, all of those things, then I'm able to do those things that much better. So it might be counterintuitive. I know, especially as being a mom, we like to martyr ourselves and we feel like we have to do it all. And while those things are important, it's also important to find time for ourselves. And I have found that I am much more capable when I'm fitting in those things that I do for my own self-care. So it is so essential to do all of that. And I am finding often that I have to rebalance some of those things. Sometimes I'm spending a little bit more time on my career or at home or in different places, and I might find that I'm out of sync. So I do these gut checks with myself to just see where I feel the balance is and when I need to rebalance, and I find whatever that new balance looks like. So it's an ongoing process. It's never a perfect system, but I have a kind of series of systems and checks within that to make sure it's going the way I want it to.
I love what you said a few minutes ago about you empowered yourself, because I think that's such an important thing, because we're all about empowerment here at Dental Assistant Nation. And so often we say the dental assistants have to find that within themselves and not from the dentist or not from anybody else in the practice. So how did you learn to empower yourself?
Yeah, I think a key element to that was with my self-care routine. I used to feel really guilty for taking the time for myself. I felt like, but I need to invest more time here or there. I need to be with my children more. And while that's true, it's also really important that I invest time in myself and my self-care. So as I started finding success with this balanced system where I was spending time not only on the things I needed to do, like in my career and with the household and with the kids and everything, I was finding that as I was spending more time on myself with fitting in my exercise, my mental health activities, things like that, I found I was a lot more capable in these other areas. I wasn't running ragged. I wasn't feeling exhausted. I felt like I could do more. And I realized as a way of repeating those practices that I was that much more capable in those other areas. For me, felt very fulfilling and very, I guess, it was a confirmation I needed that this is right. This is good. It's not selfish. It's important that I'm taking that time for myself. It's making me that much more capable in these other areas. So by doing that, I felt that much more empowered to continue doing it.
I'm really glad you said that because I think that there's a tendency whenever we put ourselves first, that there's a guilt complex that comes along with that. And it's okay for us to actually take care of ourselves so then we can be ready to take care of others and to take care of our career and everything else, correct?
It is. It's essential. And I know it's so easy to set yourself aside. And there are times that we have to do that. There are times that I have to prioritize my children or I have to prioritize something with my work. And that happens from time to time. And that's okay on a one-off basis. But sometimes I have to take the priority and say, no, in this case, I have to be number one. With dealing with my chronic illness, I have Crohn's disease. I've had to say, no, I've got to rest or I have to prioritize my treatment because if I don't do that, I'm not going to be capable of meeting these other needs and these demands. And it does, until you develop this practice and the routine of making it a habit, it does feel selfish, but truly it's not because I'm building myself up in a way so that I can be the best version of myself for my children or show up in my career the way I want to. So it is so critical to find that time for those self-care things, whatever that looks like.
And is it important, really curious here, is it important to tell others that you're on this journey of self-care and really taking care of yourself and trying to balance as well so that maybe they can support you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It took time for me to really figure out a rhythm or routine that worked well with my husband, for instance. And this can go for anyone. It could be a sibling, it could be a parent, it could be a spouse, whatever. In my case, it was really important for me to figure out some sort of a routine and balance with my husband. And we did. And he's been very supportive of it from the get-go. But what I needed to do was just be more open and transparent about, hey, I need this. I need time for yoga. I need time to go for a run, whatever that is. And just being open with that communication. And when I've been more open and communicative with him, he's that much more supportive. And he says, oh, great. You're going to go on, it's your Monday night to go do yoga, whatever it is. Great. I got the kids. I got dinner, whatever. So it is super important to make sure that you are sharing those things, whether it's your partner or it's someone else, to make sure that you have that balance and that you have the support to also fuel yourself and that you're getting whatever resources you need to have that time for yourself.
And I'll be honest, my wife and I are empty nesters, but one of the things that we have decided is that Monday night is her yoga night. And so, that's my pickleball night. And so we do something separate that we both love to do, but also know we have the freedom to do that and empower each other through that as well.
Absolutely. And my husband does the same thing. He'll have his bowling night or he'll do this activity with a friend. It is so important to have that balance. And yet we still have our date nights together. So we have time for me to do my self-care routine, whatever that is, him time to do whatever self-care routine he has, and then that time together. And then, of course, the time as a family. So finding balance in each of those things is a work in progress. It's often, we have these competing demands and we have to figure that out. For instance, my kids just started swimming lessons. Now we have to figure out a way to balance that. So it's a lot to balance, but it's so important. And to make sure that we're getting those pieces that we need, it really helps us as a whole family unit to show up for each other in ways that are that much more meaningful.
I cannot wait to be a part of the Rocky Mountain Dental Convention in 2026. We're going to be talking about the real state of dental assisting in 2026 in Denver on January 22nd and January 23rd. So I want you to be a part of this because dental assistants, we're going to bring you together in the Mile High City at the Rocky Mountain Dental Convention, and we're going to be talking about the things that are going well in the profession as well as the things that we can improve. It's going to be a great time of learning. I want to see you at the Rocky Mountain Dental Convention in Denver, January 22nd and January 23rd for real talk about the state of dental assisting in 2026. Join me and let's be real with each other.
So I know your website is fireyourcareer.com, and tell me about FIRE and why are you so passionate about that?
Yeah, so FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. It's a movement that has a pretty serious following, and I am one of those followers. I'm a big proponent of it. I have the Fire Your Career platform as really a way to provide more traditional access or make FIRE more accessible to more people. Fire Your Career is really about building up your career and empowering you in your finances so that you can achieve FIRE on your terms. And I like to look at FIRE as a very accessible thing. So there are, to me, very different versions of FIRE that are very achievable. There's the more traditional FIRE where you're retiring early and you have a retirement age. Maybe your goal is 55, or maybe it's a traditional age of 65. Maybe you want to retire early at 35, 25, whatever it is. It doesn't really matter what the number is. What matters is that you're achieving it on your terms. You might want to focus on really trimming down on what you're spending so that you can achieve FIRE sooner. Maybe you don't mind eating rice and beans for dinner every night and you're willing to cut back. Seriously, I'm not a rice and beans kind of person. I can't do that. I'm more of the fat FIRE type follower, but there are other subtle versions in between. There's just pay off debt FIRE. Just paying off debt alone can really enable your finances and give you this kind of lifestyle that is so much more freeing. You don't have to go for full FIRE and retire early if you don't want to. Some people are very fulfilled in their careers and they're very happy to retire at a traditional retirement age or work. I have a father-in-law. He's over 80 years old and he's still working because he loves what he does. And that's okay too. What matters is that you are living life on your terms, that you're able to achieve whatever subtle level of FIRE is satisfying to you so that you can do more and have a more fulfilling lifestyle, whatever that looks like.
So I know a lot of dental assistants are listening to this and going, look, we're the lowest paid people on the team. We know our salaries we're not sailing out on our yacht this weekend. Is FIRE still achievable for people that even maybe don't have a lot in the bank or feel like that they're really running month to month as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really what the key is to live below your means. And it doesn't matter if you have a salary that is over $100,000. It doesn't matter if your salary is $30,000. It really doesn't matter. The key is to live below your means. You want to create this buffer between your income and your spending. Now, the larger that gap between your income and your spending, the sooner you're going to be able to achieve financial freedom. So you might want to either increase your income or decrease your spending or do some variation of that. But even if you have a lower salary range, it doesn't matter. FIRE is still absolutely achievable. And you might be looking at something more like lean FIRE or even a smaller version of FIRE just to simply pay off debt. It is absolutely achievable, though. It does not matter what your salary is. You can achieve some version of financial freedom regardless of what that salary looks like.
You know, you mentioned fat FIRE, lean FIRE. I know that there's different levels of this. And I think that's always good to know that I can do something even if I'm not at the level that maybe somebody else is. And we're all kind of on different paths toward that end goal.
Absolutely. And that's really what it's all about, what FIRE is all about. Or the way I like to look at it is it's ultimately about learning to live a life on your terms. And that could be whatever version of FIRE is appropriate for you. Maybe you want to travel the world. Maybe you want to live in a country where the cost of living is lower and you're going to do that on a remote basis. For dental assistants, it's probably a little bit harder, but maybe you want to retire at some point and live abroad. You can do that. Or maybe you live in a high cost of living area and you're finding some way to make that work. It ultimately doesn't matter what you're doing or what choices you make, but what does matter is that you are aware of your values, the why behind your choices, what that is and what you're aiming for. So really, Fire Your Career is about making conscious choices that allow you to live this lifestyle, whatever that means for you, so that you ultimately feel fulfilled in what you're doing.
One of the things that my goal was before we did this podcast, whenever you and I were first talking, is that we were going to talk about finances. We were going to talk about self-care. We were going to talk about, all these things, and it was on your terms. And I love that that's been the theme as we've talked today. It's that everybody has a choice. It's just a matter of having the resources to actually do those things on their term and stick with the program as well.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And the other thing I'll mention along with that is it is very easy to get in this habit of try to keep up with the Joneses or living at your means or doing what you feel like society tells you to do just because that's just what presented you in your life. Now, I like to take a very different look at it. I like to challenge the status quo where it makes sense. It might make sense to live somewhere else. It might make sense to live below your means. Our society is very consumer driven. So a lot of people in our society live at their means or even above their means. That is a very normal thing. But if you're going to be successful in achieving some level of fire, it is so important to live below your means. And that is definitely atypical of the status quo. But it's really an empowering choice. It might feel like sacrifice, at least initially, but really it's just aligning your spending with your values, cutting back where it's not serving you in your life, but then diving full forward where it is. So it's just really being conscious about where you're going, what you're spending, and how you're doing it.
The Chicago Midwinter Meeting. It's one of the biggest meetings in the dental industry every year, and this year is going to be extra special because I'm going to be talking to dental assistants at the meeting, and I can't wait to be a part of it. So dental assistants and dental team members, join me Friday, February 20th, as we talk about harnessing the powers and personalities in the dental practice. Why can't we all just get along? We're going to talk about that. And then Saturday, February 21st, it's going to be extra special because dental assistants, this one's just for you as we talk about battling and beating the demons of dental assisting. So join me at the 2026 Chicago Midwinter Meeting. I can't wait to see you in the Windy City.
So, Angela, I mentioned your website, fireyourcareer.com, but I know that there's something else that you wanted to offer to our listeners as well.
Absolutely. So if you're curious about the FIRE movement and you just want to get started simply, I have a free ebook that's available on my website called 7 Ways to Fire Your Career. It's a really great way to just get started. It explores some very simple concepts. It's a guidebook that will walk you through step by step how you can do some of these things if you just want to get started and explore this space. One of those things, yes, a feature is living below your means, and I have a number of different resources that are available to help you learn some of these different lessons to help you get going on this journey if you're curious about exploring it.
That's awesome. We're going to have the link to Angela in the show notes, so it's going to be very easy for you to find. You can find that ebook and explore FIRE, as well as think about, what does this mean as we start 2026? Where we talk about New Year's resolutions are not the greatest thing, but keeping with a program and having those goals that you hit, that's the important thing as well. So, Angela, I really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been great to be here.
Absolutely. And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode of the Dental Assistant Nation podcast. And again, a reminder, we're sponsored by Care Credit. And if it's something that you are looking to make sure that Care Credit is an option for your patients in your practice, reach out to me at kevin@kevinspeaksdental.com. And I'm going to make sure that I hook you up with the resources you need to make sure that you can offer your patients what help they might need as well. Until next time, it's Kevin Henry, founder of Dental Assistant Nation, signing off. And as always, wish you nothing but success ahead.